Today I'm going to help you get an amazing start in Lord of the Rings Rise to War for your very first days of Season 2. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video I want to share my experience from the last 36 or so hours getting started in a brand new season, Season 2 of Lord of the Rings Rise to War. And there were a number of mistakes that I made that I really cringe when I look back. And I'm like, man, I wish I had known this stuff. And also, I just want to say that the start of Season 2 is very different than the start of Season 1, because although the mechanics are largely the same, your collection of commanders and equipment will be vastly different than when you started Season 1, even if you were spending lots of money. So let's get this started and break down the things you need to know for day 1 in a brand new Season 2 account. And before I even get into the gameplay itself, I just want to emphasize that by the time you get to Season 2, you must be in a killer group. You need to have already formed relationships with people. That's like, if you didn't have this in Season 1, your main takeaway from Season 1 should be to get into a great group for Season 2. Now, a part of that will be related to who ultimately joins into your server, and you don't exactly know until things are just sort of, I guess, coming together for that, but you want to try to get into a good group, because you can see here that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 alliances in the top 15. And I think we have a 5th alliance shell as well somewhere. So all that to say, it's not a coincidence that we're doing really well with Gondor right now. We have a huge group and we're organizing things. And organization and great groups not only makes your experience very fun, but also gives you a much better chance of winning. So now that I got that out of the way, okay? That's not a brag. Like, we could very well lose this season. I'm just saying we're having a lot of fun playing together, and being in a group should be your #1 priority. It's better than any advice I can give you, but there is really good advice I can give you. So let's get to that. Day 1, what is your goal? You want to unlock as high level tiles as you possibly can at the very end of the day, so that you can gather or mock battle or whatever from those high level tiles. For me, I got all the way to 150 tiles. In my final hour, I took 2 150 tiles. I had a lot of dead troops. I lost like 600 troops each to get these. It was very expensive, but keep in mind that in your first day, your losses are cut in half. That was the time to go do some crazy stuff. And yes, I have gathered from these tiles, and that means I'm getting way more resources than if I was doing, what, level 90 tiles or ring power 90 tiles? Forget it, right? So getting high-level tiles is one of your goals. This is an aggressive spender goal, I would say, to get all the way to 150s. A very strong goal would be to just get 130s going. That would be really amazing, to cap out as your highest tile captured is a couple 160s, both of them. That way you can gather either resource type, that is going to be the ore right over here, and then food. So that seems like a really important thing to do. And also, on your very first day, you're just trying to get to your maximum number of tiles and then level up your tiles as much as you can by getting rid of your low-level tiles and replacing them with higher-level tiles. So, of course, you start with level 1s, and then you make your way all the way up to 130s. And wherever needed, you're going to be trying to just ditch your older tiles to get to the better and better tiles. Now, these are your goals, okay? And, oh yeah, one last thing is to get your story quest done, because that's how you're going to get as many tiles as possible. Also, to get as many tiles as possible, do not forget to put points into dominance in your ring. I'll talk about the ring a little bit more in a bit, but let's get into the maybe biggest mistakes I made, which is that to achieve these objectives for your first day in the game, when you have the 50% reduced stamina cost, the, 50 or 100% more march speed, and you've got 50% less troop deaths, right? Like, oh yeah, and the stamina recovery, like all that stuff. When all that's going on, you really want to pick 3 commanders and go all in. And you should make these selections, like, not on the fly, but well before you actually enter the season. And when you do enter, your commanders are set back to level 1 and all their gear is taken off. So if you know which 3 commanders you're going to go all in on, there's a number of things that I would recommend there. One is figure out what equipment you're going to use and get your wisdom imparted onto those commanders so that you start the season with more points available. If you have the ability to impart wisdom, if you've got the materials, the salvage set aside to go and do that. That is really, really important. Now, which commander should you be picking, though? I made a huge mistake. I thought I would be doing like 4 commanders. And so the 4 commanders that I had selected were Gandalf, Éomer, Arwen, and Éowyn. And you can see Éowyn is still only level 6. This is a problem. There's 2 things you really should be looking for, right? Maybe 3. You want to have a high wisdom and respect level, which I mentioned wisdom already. You want to go in and make sure that you're picking commanders that do a lot of healing. Well, all 4 of these commanders do great healing. But the mistake that I made was that I was picking commanders that required a specific troop type. Both Éowyn and Éomer require you to have mounted units. And not only do you not start with a mounted unit, even though in my faction I got one very quickly as well, the problem is that I couldn't train enough of them to fill out the march, and I couldn't even start by using them, and I could only ultimately use 1 march, otherwise I would run out of cavalry, and if I'm not using the mounted units over here with Éowyn, I just shouldn't be using her. I didn't have that many units. So my big problem here was picking a commander, 2 commanders, this was really problematic, that require you to have a specific unit type. And, you know, look, I went Gondor. That's men, right? It would have been okay to use someone like, I don't know, Boromir doesn't do healing, but like he's got abilities that benefit men, and that's okay because all my troops are men at the start anyways, but all my troops are not mounted units at the start, and that was actually a problem. It made it so that I was making poorer compositions for my Gandalf and also my Arwen. It made it so that I didn't have enough calves to keep doing what I needed to do with Éomer. Don't make that mistake that I made. Now, once you have chosen which of these commanders, and I would just strongly recommend, Gandalf and Arwen as top choices. I think Gimli is fine. He's also got some healing. I think a commander like Dwalin is a fine choice as well, because Dwalin has got healing abilities here in the form of the musician talent, or I guess title, right? And the associated trees, relief, and level-headed. The reason you want all this healing is to preserve your troops. So that's really important. Any commander that's got healing is a good choice. And there are other commanders you could pick here, like, doesn't Merry and Pippin, don't they do a bunch of healing? Don't they? Yeah, okay. War Chant and level-headed and relief. Right. Healing is the key. Once you've locked in on those, you really want to smash together the best equipment you possibly can muster, and you want to make a few sacrifices if necessary in order to get that done, because it will preserve your troops. That means you can push further and get more done. So I've obviously made a mistake. I have my endgame gear, I mean, it's going to get better. I'm going to smash stuff together for Éowyn already on her, because I thought, I'm going to use Éowyn, right? But I would have been so much better just shredding a lot of this gear, smash it into Éomer, and having better gear over here. That, I think, would have been a stronger play. I also have been hoarding a fair amount of gear that I still just struggle with, like, but these are kind of nice pieces of legendary gear, and I don't want to just shred them. But at some point, like, a max blue is almost as good as, like, a legendary here, so, like, I may as well just be using a blue at that point. So just kind of keep that in mind. You want to get the best gear you can really summon the will to smash together, to have that 1 or 2 or really 3 really, really great marches ready to go. Now, there is one other thing I did commander-wise that I thought was really good, which is that as I got toward the sort of tail end of things in my first day, one of the things that I did is I purchased the bundle that gives a stamina potion, and I used that on Gandalf, because that represented my ability. At that point, I was going infinite. I was losing like nearly, I don't know, less than 100, sometimes less than 50 troops taking tiles, and those were like, I think 130s at the time. It was really amazing. What I did is I used the stamina potion because that represented 6 more high-level tiles that I could take at 50% less troop loss and 50% the stamina cost. It's just so worth it. It's so worth it. So if you are spending, I thought that bundle was pretty good. I don't know if I would spend the, 600 gems for a potion? Is that even an option? I don't know that it was. It was the limited gift pack that I bought. That was the thing that I did there. I could have swore there was something in this daily discount, but maybe it's not here at the start of a season. I actually don't exactly remember. I didn't gem any of this stuff. The resource production, I didn't mess with any of this. And one thing I did do, though, to get a lot of resources that I think you really need to keep in mind is that if you go into your city, which that's not my city, here's my city, and I enter, I go to build, just kidding, I go to the market. After you've built a market, the market is an amazing way to get more resources. I saved this screen, and you can see I did refresh the market 3 times here. I saved this screen just to show you that resources are going to be a huge problem in this season, in part because unlike Season 1 where you were gifted a bunch of troops, that does not happen here. There is no storyline quests that gift you troops that I have encountered yet. So you're going to be spending a lot of resources training new troops, and look at this 50% resource boost here. I am basically using my ability points to go gather from a resource node that I'm low on that type of resource, and I use that to like ultimately trade into something else. Also, you can use your gold into resources, which at this stage of my development is super freaking worth, because the resources are the bottleneck now for my progress. So there's just a number of these really, really amazing plays I can make where, like, yeah, 50,000 ore for 100,000 food, I will take it. Thanks for the wheat. I guess it's grain. I'll go through all of these. I'm a little low on wood right now, so I'm not going to do it this second. But, like, yes, gold for ore seems good. Also, gold for stone. I mean, like, at this stage, the resources are freaking massive. Maybe I will feel like, oh, I wish I had more gold in just a little bit. But as of right now, I desperately need these resources in order to keep progressing. And in a worst case, I can barter. But I haven't even done a single barter yet because I've just been trying to manage my resources, picking up the slack for things that I'm low on by doing some gathering. And I've used up all of my ability points at this moment in time, which is a good thing to segue to your ring and your ability points. If we just get a look over here, you can see I'm using a control harvest build right now. I've shredded every point I possibly can that is not in control or harvest. And I'm going to keep doing that for now because resources are my bottleneck. In a very worst case, like, I'm not training all the troops I could train because I don't have the resources to train the troops. You see what I mean? And more troops means you can take more tiles, and more tiles means more resources. It really snowballs in your favor. So what I would recommend is that because you can't actually put points into control right away, there's actually going to be a limit over here. You can't go past or even get quick order until your ring is level 10 and beyond. You can't actually go toward powerful sweeping until your ring is like 15 and beyond, just for perspective here. So what I did is I started by putting some points in abundant wisdom, abundant power, and then once I got to level 9 for my ring, I saved my level 9 point, and when I got to level 10, I put one into dominance, I put one into quick order, and I suppose if I had done it even better, I could have saved 2 more points and gone all the way up to control, because once you get control, then you can reset the ring. And when I reset the ring, it frees up the abundant alacrity point and the quick order point, which I could redeploy other places. For example, you could drop them immediately into control. And so I wanted to max out control right away so I can get my ability point generation going up. By the way, if you haven't seen the video that I put together explaining why control is just freaking amazing, I'll have a card up in the top. You can check out that video. So I maxed control, and then I'm now working on maxing harvest because I'm just constantly gathering resources. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. I really did this by accident, but I had one freaking husbandry item. Okay, I had one of them. Here it is. I'm saving this Fiddle of the Eldest to combine, or I guess I mean refine, my stronger Fiddle of the Eldest. Did I say Elvist? You can see why I made that mistake. Anyways, husbandry gives 3% resources gathered. That's not bad. That's like 1 ring point. I mean, I kind of wish... let me say this differently. At some point, I probably will have one accessory that has husbandry, okay? And I'm going to refine at max level, and like, whatever it's going to be. What is it, 15% more resources? Dude, it seems pretty good, but in the very least, the base level of 3%, I am enjoying that. I have it on here. It's not bad, man. It's not bad. Resources, it sounds crazy, but it's going to be a huge bottleneck. Now, there is one other hack that you can use to get resources, and this was not quite the promised land that I thought it would be, which is that if you didn't finish your Red Book of Westmarch, in the new season, you can go do the Red Book of Westmarch, and the advantage of that is that these quests are going to give you lots of resources. The downside is that I'm on chapter 17 and 18, and it's telling me I've got to wait freaking 14 days and 9 hours before it'll let me go do that. Now, if there's some way that I can hack past that by, like, I don't know, doing the previous mission again or something, you just let me know down below in the comments. I had thought I could start on it right away and get just a bananas amount of resources, but that's not the case. So, if you're at the end of Season 1 and you're preparing for Season 2, consider just not doing your Red Book so that when you get into Season 2, you can get those resources when you need them. And, like, yeah, no, I need them. I need them. The only other thing that gave me just a real boon of resources was to make sure that I was completing the story quests. I'm on 16 at this point, but keep in mind that I'm like a day and a half in. And the task progress really gives you a very meaningful amount of resources. No stone, but a meaningful amount of resources otherwise. Now, there are a few things that are slightly different about Season 2. For example, you'll find that there is a brand new challenge. So if you are spending, obviously the kickback here is really, really good in terms of the amount of rewards you get for the money you spent. At level 50, you get one of these sweet helmets, new to this season, which is pretty cool. And if I just get a quick look, one last thing that actually gave us quite a jump start was that we happened to have the Yuletide holiday events right when we were switching, and I didn't collect the 2,000 chest or the 3,500 chest. And so when I got here and they smashed together all these servers, I mean, my previous server barely had any progress, and then all of a sudden we had it maxed, and that was a sweet 30,000 gold. 30,000 gold at the start of the season is pretty good. I'm also going and I'm doing some gathering, or I guess exploring, I should say more clearly, off on some of these tiles. So if there is a holiday event, wait to do the holiday stuff until after your new season server starts. For us, it was like 4 UTCs when it opened. So don't actually go in and do your holiday events or any other events that you think are going to carry over between 0 and also 4 UTC or whenever the new server is going to start. So you can do them after the server starts. And, ooh, a riddle. How many gems will it cost to reset a commander title? I believe that is 20. Please be right. Hey, it would have been so embarrassing if I was wrong. Hey, look, it's 15 minutes. It's not much, but it was also free. Okay, I'll take it. A couple other things I just want to show you about Season 2 real quick. There is a new journey event, which upon completion gives you the choice of 2 commanders. Full letter for 2 commanders, which is pretty cool. So over the course of season, you do different things and you'll get these credit, I guess, off to the side over here toward the top reward, which is pretty cool. There'll be a bunch of quests that you go and do, like you might expect, territorial expansion at the start of the server. And if you didn't actually claim your Season 2 rewards in the store, it looks like I have 12 days to go and do that. And it looks like the reward currency from season to season is the same. So yeah, I am definitely holding on to my season currency with the assumption that I can use it with a refreshed set of rewards for the next season's store, maybe? Maybe? Does anybody know? I think that either this store is going to fully refresh or there will be new items for Season 2. Let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. That is the brain dump of everything I wish I had known, the talk that I wish someone had given me before starting Season 2. There's probably other stuff, though, and I want to see it in the comments. And until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.